hope that by now you guys aren't too tired, but it's also why I insisted on having some things to look at, because it's always nice to look at some pretty pictures, right? And church media, we think we need to look at some media. That's what I thought. Anyways, as Kyle said, I am Ella. I'm from FCC. I've been working there full time for about 4 years now, something like that. At FCC, I'm in charge of all the media outputs that go out from our church, that are in our church. I just sort of oversee all of the design things, the digital things. Also, if you're in church, you know that you're also just involved with everything, right? So that is kind of me at FCC. Today I have the privilege of talking to you about church media, and specifically social media within the church context. And you may be sitting here thinking, okay, what does this actually have to do with anything about church planting? And this is kind of secondary. Why do we need to talk about this? And yes, it might not be the main focus of what we're doing, but it is a tool that the Lord has gifted us with. So it is something worth discussing. It is something really powerful that we can use to reach people, and it's just a tool that we can use to serve the kingdom. So it's worth looking into. And then hopefully today I can also encourage you guys to set up your social media structure from now, so that as your church grows, as you go along in this journey, you have this social media structure that is growing alongside of you, and you're actually creating this digital scrapbook of something to look back on and see all that God has done in your church. It's really incredible. Anyway, so as with most things, it's always first to understand the why of why we're doing it. So why is social media something worth considering and something worth pouring effort into? Well, number one, it is a space in which we can serve the Lord, right? Like with many areas in our lives, this is another place we can serve the Lord so wonderfully. And we are so blessed to serve such a creative creator. He is the one who is the forerunner of anything creative, anything beautiful, anything magnificent, and he has instilled creativity in us. So rather than using social media as a thing that just is a part of church business, let it actually be an area in which we can serve the creator of the universe with our own creativity. It is also a wonderful place in which we can pull others in to serve the Lord too. This isn't just something that you do that is like, okay, let me just tick it off the list, get it done, it's a chore. No, this is a place in which we can be creative, we can serve the Lord, we can share his heart and his mission, and we can bring others in as well to let them serve the Lord too, right? Anyways, the second why is that it's because we live in a digital age. We cannot deny the fact that we live in a very digital world, and anything and everything has some sort of digital footprint. You'll also know that whenever you maybe are going to a restaurant or something, you always check it out online, and people are going to use your social media to sort of check you out before they come and enter into your building. So it is very important that we use this powerful tool and to introduce ourselves to people before they come and actually see us in person, because that is what people are going to do. We can't escape this digital world we live in, so let's use it as a powerful tool that God has given us. You may all know this verse from Matthew 5. It says, "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that you may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." So, in this digital world that we live in, this is just another place in which we can stand apart. We can be a light for Jesus. We don't necessarily have to come into the social media world and reshape it entirely, because that's not the goal here. But we can come in, we can stand apart, we can share his mission, share his heart, and be a light even in this realm. The third why is it is going to be your easiest and quickest place to share information. So like I said before, most people nowadays are connected online, right? And people are going to be looking to your online presence for information. They're going to be looking to see what's happening in the life of the church, who you are, what you believe. And this is why we need to use it to help people find this information. It is also a place where you can widespread announcements, events, your heart, just anything in an instant to multitudes. People who aren't in your church, people who are in your church. And where else do you have a place to do this? It is such a powerful tool, and that is why we must use it, so that people can find out who we are, they can find out what we're doing, what mission we're on, all in an instant. It is amazing, and we should definitely be using it. So, as with anything, we need to remember the why of why we're doing things.
And when we know this, then it helps us going forward in all that we're doing. We know that this is a powerful tool, so when we utilize it well, we can go and we can serve the Lord in this mission that you all are on, and we can do it to a greater extent. This is something worth using, so remember the why behind it. And like I said previously, it's actually so amazing how this will end up being a scrapbook of the story of God that He is busy unfolding in your lives. You can look back at photos and posts and videos and see His hand at work. And so today I actually wanted to pull 3 photos from our FCC social media, just from going over 2 decades now of posts. And I just pulled 3 posts to see the story that God has actually been writing in our church. And I promise you, you're going to get to the point where you're going to look back and be like, oh my goodness, remember when we were there, and look at where we are now and all that God has done. So just to show that a little bit, this is actually a photo from 2001, but it was posted a little later on. But this is one of our first gatherings in our first venue, which was in Craighaven. And you can see, so if you were here earlier with Tony, that is Tony over there. Hopefully you can see it. It's a little bit small. But yeah, this is now going on 24 years ago in our first building. Then going to this next picture. So from there we moved to another place we were at, Foy's High School, and then from there we moved to this building here. And this, you can see the setup and the building of that building. It was across from Monte Casino. I don't know if anyone ever went there. But this was in 2012, so what is that, 13 years ago now? Crazy. And this is where the Lord has brought us to now, the current building that we're in, and just looking at all that God has done, all the people that He has brought into our ranks. It is so beautiful. So yes, social media, you're going to use it for sharing information and sharing your heart to the people around you, but also it's going to be something so special that you can look back on yourselves. So don't forsake it, because it's going to be really incredible, I promise you. Anyways, so we've spoken about the why of why do we consider social media. Next, we're going to talk about the how, and there's a lot we can get into here, but let's start from the ground up. So, laying the foundations. You've just planted your church, or you've left a church, or you're taking over a church, and you're standing in front of all of this, and you're like, okay, you want to create an online presence. What do you do now? Well, first and foremost, I'd say, do you have a church brand identity? Because this is going to be your starting point for everything. And what this means is, do you have a name, and do you have a logo? And obviously there's also like design styles and color palettes and things like that as well. Gets a little bit technical and design jargon-esque, but start with a name and a logo. And I know it seems fairly obvious, but it's an important thing that you have to set in stone before you even go and create any online presence, because it's going to be the foundation. It's going to be the first thing that anyone interacts with your church with, because they're going to see your logo, they're going to connect it to a name, and then from there they'll get to know, okay, who is this that I'm looking at, is the first thing people will see. So start there, figure it out, and then from there we build on top of that. Then the next thing is consider starting all of this with the creation of a website. Now, I know this might be a little bit different for everyone's church planting journeys. You might consider it better first to have social media and then to start a church website. Also, I know that looking at finances, it's just depending on what you're able to do at the time, and that's perfectly okay. But if I can suggest, I'd say get a website up as soon as possible. This is just because it legitimizes who you are a little bit more. It creates a little bit of trustworthiness. People like to see that places have websites because they feel like, okay, this is a bit more legit. It's just the nature of how people act, and they like to be able to Google you, stalk you a little bit online, and a website is a good place to do that. And even if you aren't even meeting yet as a church, you can go and you can post blog updates. Where are you in this story? You can share your heart on your website. You can actually kind of create your little church online first, even if you aren't in a building and aren't having meeting times yet. Start there. And you never know how God will use that, just the updates of your journey. But yeah, start with a website if you can, because it's just going to aid in trustworthiness. People can feel like there is actually something tangible here. Okay, so from here, you then need to decide your channels of communication with social media. And what this means is, what platforms are you going to make use of? So, as anyone who is online knows, there's so many different things you can choose from. There's Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn. I'm sure there's so many more. Those are just the ones I thought of. But if I can give you any advice, it's just start small. You don't want to go in over enthusiastic and make accounts on all of these things, and then you're going there and posting it, and then about 2 months in, you've actually just run out of steam because it's too much trying to post content for all these different things. And you'll also find that each platform has a different style or different way about posting. Like on TikTok, you've got all of your dancing trends, and Instagram is more photos, and X is more words. And so if you're posting content for all of these different places, you're going to have to think of very different content constantly. And that can get very exhausting very, very fast. So, as I said before, start small, figure it out from there, let it grow. At FCC, we use Facebook and Instagram. This is just because you can actually link the two when posting. So if I'm posting onto Instagram, it'll automatically be posted to Facebook. And we also just find that it kind of catches a wide range of demographics, of ages, of people. It reaches our people the best. And then we will also use YouTube for our longer format videos, just like sermon recordings and things like that. But as with any of this, you have to figure out what works for you. So this works for us. You do some trial and error, figure out what works for you and your people. And then the beauty about social media though as well is that you can adapt as you go. So as I said, we only use Facebook and Instagram, but if there's ever a point where I decide we need to get Tony up and doing some TikTok dances, which maybe we should do soon, I can make a TikTok account and we can get into that sphere. Social media is something that constantly grows and adapts, and so we must actually be prepared to adapt with it. There might be a day where no one is using Facebook and everyone is now on, something completely new. We need to be prepared to adapt with the digital world that is constantly adapting around us. Anyways, so you've chosen your channels of communication. Now, something very important to note is you need to connect all of these channels. So you need to first connect them in tone, as in style, what does it look like, but then also obviously in information. So how do you connect it in tone? This just means that the style, the visual style that you're seeing on your website should sort of be carried across on your Facebook, on your Instagram, on your whatever else, YouTube. It should look the same in the photos that you're using, in the fonts that you're using, in the colors that you're using, and then, very importantly, in the information that you're using. You basically don't want someone to go from your website to your Facebook to your Instagram and be like, okay, I'm looking at 3 different churches here. Because what's going to happen with that is they're going to get very confused and people are going to click away very, very fast. They're going to be like, I don't know, let me rather go look somewhere else. So you need to make sure that there is consistency going across all of your different channels. But then also you need to connect them in terms of they are all linked to one another. It's a very basic thing, but if I am on your Instagram page, I should be able to get from your Instagram page, click a link, go to your Facebook, click another link, get to your website, click another link, go back to your Instagram. You need to create this digital highway going through all of your social medias. People like to get to things easily. On social media, we're lazy. We like to scroll fast. We don't like to have to search for long. So remember, make it easier for your viewer. Just create links, put them everywhere, let them be able to find information quickly, easily. So connect them all. And now, after talking about all of these channels of communication, you may be wondering, okay, what is the purpose though of having a website if I have a social media, if I have an Instagram, if I have a Facebook? Well, it's because these different platforms, these different areas online have very different purposes. So you'll find that your website is the place in which you can expand a lot more on who you are, on information about your church, on the mission that you're on what you believe, on where you are, what's going on. It's really your full stack book of what's going on in the life of your church. And then your social media is more like a snapshot. It's still sharing your heart. It's sharing information that you need to get out instantly, sort of present information, what's going on right now. But it's also just more personal. I'd say social media is kind of like your group chat, your family group chat, where you're sending updates, you're sending photos, you're sending immediate things that you want people to know. But then your website carries all of your information expanded, fleshed out a bit. So if I see you on Instagram, oh, okay, I like this vibe that I'm seeing here, I can then go click onto your website and I can actually read up in deeper detail what is happening here, what do they believe in, where do they meet, who are the leaders. You can decide what you want there, and then that information on your website can stay there always. It can be the foundations to your church, and on Instagram and Facebook and whatever else, you can be posting constant updates. So they go hand in hand together. They work really, really well together, and it's just about finding the balance of how you're going to use both. But I promise you, both are worth using. Okay, so now that we've laid the foundation and we have our initial church presence set up, and you've chosen your avenues of communication and like where you're going to be posting content, now you have to do your social media checklist. And what this is basically are the basics that you set in stone on your social media accounts before you even start posting content. So these are the ones that I've just thought of, the social media basics. And number one is to set your profile picture. So this is just our church Instagram, but very simply, set your profile pictures and your cover images. And if I can suggest here, use your logo, that brand identity that we worked so long and hard on to develop, your name and everything. This is where you use it. I know it's very tempting to put a lovely photo of your pastor over there, or maybe of your church building, but we'll leave that for later on. Let's put that logo over there. This just makes it easily identifiable, and then you can connect all of your channels as well. This is a good way to connect them in tone and style. Make all of your profile pictures the same profile picture. Put your cover image with a bit more info. I think, so here you can see our cover image on Facebook has a little bit more info. And make sure these profile pictures are good, high quality. Don't let them be blurry. Also, don't use your full fleshed out logo so then it's super tiny and no one can actually see what this is. You can see here that our profile picture is actually just our logo icon. And then you can see on our Facebook cover, we then have the full logo with the name. And this is just so our profile pictures are bold, they have high clarity, people can see what it is at a glance. They aren't trying to look and like zoom in and see what it is. Keep it bold, keep it clear. This just aids in clarity, boldness, it'll catch people's attention. And just make sure it's really good quality photos. So yes, that is that. Number two, make sure your pages have your name clear and visible. I know, once again, seems fairly obvious, but here, just use your full name. Don't use acronyms. People aren't going to know what they are. When people are searching for your church online, let's say they've seen you on your website, they want to now find your Instagram, they're searching your name, and you've used an acronym, chances are they're not going to be able to find it because they don't know yet that that's the lingo of your church. People don't necessarily know that we call our church FCC, which is why we have Forwards Community Church. Also, you'll see at the top there, our Instagram username is also just our full name. It's simple. People can find it super, super easily. That is the thing. You want to aid people in finding who you are really, really easily online. So just stick to your name. Make it really clear, really visible. Try not to use a username that has like a bunch of numbers at the end, like FCC12568, People are going to get very confused. Also, I don't know what it is about people. They see a bunch of numbers in your username and they think, this isn't a legit church, I'm not going there. I don't know. It's like just a thing. So just try, keep it simple, keep it clear, make it easily found. Then number three is make sure your meeting times are easily found everywhere. So this is something that no matter how many places you put your meeting times, you're still going to have people asking you what time you meet. I promise you, I've put it everywhere. But to try help this issue just a little bit, make sure it is so clear, it is so visible, it is everywhere on your whole church presence. I think it's on like 4 out of our 5 website pages. It is, I think, earlier it was on our Facebook cover image. It's everywhere. Make sure it's clear, it's visible. People want to see at a snapshot. They want to take 2 seconds and they want to know who you are, what times you're meeting. So make sure they're everywhere, they're clear. And then also, if you are in the part of your journey you're not meeting yet as a church, say that as well. Make it very clear that meetings haven't started up yet, or state just where you are at in your journey as planting your church, because people just want to know what's happening. They don't want to be confused. They want their information at a glance, quick and easy. So number 4 kind of goes hand in hand with that. Make sure your location is also found everywhere. So your meeting times and your location, those must be 2 of the easiest things that people can find. They don't want to be confused. They want to know, where is this? Because, they don't want to rock up and then have to ask people on the side of the road, sorry, do you know where this church is? If people get awkward. Just make sure they know easily, when are you meeting, where are you meeting, And like I said before, if you're not meeting yet, that's so perfect. Just state there, make it super clear that you're not meeting yet. That's perfectly fine. Then, number 5, add in a bio. So this is this little section. It's basically just 2 or 3 lines about who you are, what you believe in, what your heart is. Just keep it short, but get to the point. People, once again, at a snapshot, want to read about who you are, what you believe in, but they want to get that information really easily and really fast. So just a couple lines about your church community. Keep it super condensed. And life hack, just mention Jesus. I promise that'll get most of the message across. But yes, set your bio. And you'll see, so on Instagram, when you write your bio, technically in the bio section, our meeting times are written there as well, and then it's separated with the bio about who we are. You'll just write it all in that same spot. But yes, put in your bio. Then, number 6, set up your links, especially on Instagram. So we spoke about that digital highway of getting through the world of the web. This is where you'll do that, especially on Instagram, because that is where you'll always point people to go click. So you'll always see link in bio. This is where you set it up. And like I said before, just make it an easy channel to follow of, okay, I'm on the Instagram, I want to go to the website, I want to go to their Facebook, I want to go to the YouTube. So you'll see these are the links that we have set up on our Instagram page, and that is our website, our Facebook, our YouTube channel. Those are all the digital platforms that we are using right now. But yeah, figure out what links are going to make the most sense for you. You can also, let's say you want people to sign up for an event, you can put that specific event sign up link in your bio, keep it updated. Whatever you want people to see and what you are pointing people to click on, you can make sure they're in your Instagram bio. I don't know how many you can set at the moment. We have 3, but you can set a few. But also, another tool you can consider using is something called Linktree. So this is the one we've set up for NCMI. Linktree is basically just a landing page in which you can add a whole bunch of links. I don't know if there's a limit, but basically you can put a whole bunch of links and actually put titles to what they are. So if you go onto the NCMI Instagram page and you press on the link, it'll take you to this landing page, and you'll see that there's different things. Global Equip 2025 Web, Global Equip 2025 tickets, all these different things, and then they can actually read the title, click on it, they know where they're going to be taken. So if you want to have a lot of links, let's say links to all of your events and your YouTube and your TikTok and your Facebook and everything, consider using a Linktree. It can be super helpful. All you have to do is just Google Linktree, make an account, set up your links, then you're good to go. Okay, then number 7 is add your contact info. So you always want to make a way in which people can contact you. And now this will be different for every platform. So on Instagram, we sort of just rely on people sending us a direct message on Instagram, or them clicking on our website link. On Facebook, you'll see here that we have just our general email address for our church. People can also DM us on Facebook, but you just want to make some way that people can contact you. So if that's taking them to your website and then from there there's an email address or a phone number or something like that, just give them some way of contacting you. And if you are using direct messages on Facebook and Instagram, just make sure that you're keeping an eye on who's messaging you and if you have any unread messages that need responding to. You can also set up on Facebook and Instagram an automatic response. That's something you can do if you want to point them to an email address or something like that. All things to consider, but just basically make sure if people want to contact you, they can, because people love to ask questions. Anyways, so those are your social media basics if you were wanting to write them down. And something to note about them is just always keep them updated. I know this can be a lot of legwork sometimes. Honestly, for the most part, once you set them up, they stay the same mostly. But if anything does change, you want to make sure that you're updating it across your entire web presence. An example of this is at FCC. So we have 3 services every Sunday. But when we go into December time, we only have an 8 o'clock and a 9:30 service just because everyone exits Joburg at the same time. So then what I'll do is across our entire web presence is I make sure that stated everywhere you only see that we have 8 and 9:30 services happening, so that if someone were to click on, they've never been to our church before, they're not going to see an 11 o'clock service there, because if they were to see that, rock up at 11 on a Sunday, no one would be there.
So it just makes it easier for them, for any new people who might not know what's happening in our church. They know, okay, this Sunday they're meeting at 8 and 9:30, and I make sure that is updated week to week until we go back to 3 services. And it can be a little bit of legwork, and I know like middle of December you don't want to be updating stuff, but I promise you it's worth it, because it just takes away any chance of confusion, and you want to make it easier for people to be reached, and you want people to know what is happening, so that when they walk through through your doors, they feel confident in where they are and what time you're meeting. Okay, so foundational things are set up. Now I just want to go through some quick fire points of things to just keep in the back of your mind when you're posting on social media. And now this is sort of my list that I think of, but you'll also find that as you go through and you start posting things and start figuring out your own content and everything, you'll figure out your own mental list of things to keep track of, things to tick off. You'll make your own mental notebook for social media. But I thought I would start you off with my list. So number one, quite an important one, is image specs. And what this means is image sizes. So you'll often hear of pixel sizes when you're like designing something. I don't know if anyone is a designer here, but when you start a new design, you'll often put in a size of what your image is going to be, and that is often in pixels. But basically, for each social media platform and the way they go about doing things, there'll be specific image sizes that work best for each platform. And I know this is going to sound very technical, but once you can actually grasp it, it's going to help your social media presence so much. So just an example, I think I put here. You'll see that on Instagram at the moment, I don't know if anyone's seen the update, but images are currently getting cropped to a 4:5 square. So those are your aspect ratios, and then specs from there you can just Google and see what that is. I think it's 1.5 by 1.2 pixels at the moment, but a 4:5 aspect ratio crop. And it's just something to consider, because now when I'm designing for social media, I'll make sure that I am designing within a block that is 4:5. And what this means is that when people are scrolling on Instagram, the 4:5 block will take up a lot of their screen as they're scrolling past, which means it'll actually, chances are they'll stop and pause and see, okay, what am I actually looking at? This thing that is taking up my entire screen. And when people start to look at your content for longer, Instagram and Facebook and all these platforms, they start to track that. They see, okay, people are interacting with this post more. So then what they start to do is they start to push this content out to more people. It's all about engagement, and then you'll reach more people. Sounds very techy, I know, but basically, if you just stick to a 4:5 square, honestly, that is half the legwork done. So Google, what are these specs? How can you best design for it? Or if you post a photo, just consider, okay, how is it going to get cropped in that 4:5 square? You don't necessarily have to post the size, but when you look at your grid view, so this is your grid view, how is it going to get cropped? Is it going to look a little bit weird, or is it going to look nice? Just a consideration to think about. Another example of this is Instagram stories are a 16:9 crop, which is quite a dramatic, like long crop. Just something to consider. Let's say you want to post an image to your story, it's going to get cropped quite narrowly, so just consider it. Or if you're doing a design, Google what are 16:9 specs, and it's going to show you, it's going to give you the numbers you need and take it from there. It's super easy. But yeah, as I said, sounds super techy. Just do a Google for anything you want to post on. Say you want to know what your Facebook banner specs are. Google it, you'll find it. It makes it really easy to do. And if you use these right specs, you'll create bigger engagement. As I said, the block that fills up your screen for longer, Instagram will start to send your stuff out to more people. You will reach more people. Easy way to have massive impact. Okay, number 2 is consider the look of your Instagram highlights. So if you don't know what these are, it's these little blocks up here. It's just a little thing, but it is something I think about, because it just makes your whole page look a little bit more professional, a little bit more well considered, and you can help this to create the style and tone of your page. So you don't have to have these. I also think Instagram might be slowly taking them away, but if you do have Instagram highlights pinned to your page, consider just changing the image, the cover image on them, and it just helps make it all look very cohesive, very nice, very professional. It's like a very simple way of making your whole page look so well considered. Okay, number 3 is use reel covers. So what this is, these are the reels that are on our page right now, and you'll see that they all have images set for them, that they kind of look like their image posts, but then when you click onto them, they're actually videos. So what Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and all these things do is when you post a video, it's going to choose, honestly, it chooses like the worst frame from this video and then puts it as the cover image, and it just looks terrible, and it's usually someone who's like got a bit of a contorted face. And because it's not been the kindest to us, that is why we want to come in and we actually want to put something nice in its place. And once again, this just makes your whole page look well considered. It makes it look a bit more professional. You can put images there that just, they all sort of fit together, look nice together, have the same style, sort of have the same tone. You just want to create consistency on your page. And this is, again, a little way in which you can just make your entire web presence look that much more professional. And you can avoid some of those weird sort of screenshots from videos that Instagram will choose for you, I promise you. Okay, number 4 is be intentional about your captions. Something about social media, people are always going to connect more with something that feels intentional and well thought out. They can tell if something was just done flippantly. People are just going to be like, okay, cool, keep scrolling. This sounds like a stock standard ChatGPT caption. Consider what you're writing. Because also remember that this is an amazing place that you can actually share your hearts about what we are doing here. You can write about your preach, you can write about baptisms, you can write about an event, you can share a little bit more about what is actually going on, what is God doing. Now, it doesn't mean it has to go and be this long essay, but just something that is a little bit intentional, because you never know what God is going to do in that space. You know, we serve such a powerful God. If you write something just a little bit about, these are the baptisms that we did this Sunday, and this is why we did it, and here's, a verse about baptisms. You don't know what God is going to do. Someone could see that, scroll upon it, and be like, oh, that's actually amazing. Let me click on. Let me see what's happening. What is God doing in this space? Use your captions. Be intentional with them. I know it can be annoying. It's probably one of my worst things to do. I really hate writing captions, but it's worth the little extra time taken. Just be intentional about it. People like to have something to connect to, and this is where they can connect. Okay, number 5, it's just a silly one, but point to your links in Instagram. This is because, please know this, Instagram captions do not have hyperlinks. As in, if you copy and paste a link into an Instagram caption, you can't press it. It doesn't work. And I've seen so many people try post links there, it never works. On Facebook, it will work, so that's amazing. But that's why on Instagram, you often see people say, click the link in our bio, because that's where all of your active links lie. All of those links that we spend so long in our laying the foundations to set, you always got to point people to it. So let's say that you're doing a post about an event happening in your church, you want people to sign up. Say in your Instagram caption, hey, click the link in our bio to sign up for this event. Make sure the link is there and people will be pointed there. Just do it over and over and over again. I know people probably know about it, but I promise you, a call to action point like that, saying, hit the link in our bio, it is always worthwhile. No matter how many times you're going to say it, people need that sort of nudge towards the links in your bio. Okay, number 6 is use your Instagram stories and Facebook stories, all your stories, because people view stories more than they view your feed posts. Now, this isn't to say that you only do stories, because something about stories, they disappear after 24 hours, but you got to use your feed posts, so the feed is like the grid we looked at, and your stories, they go hand in hand. You need to use them together. But this is a great place if you want people to see stuff or ensure that they're seeing things that you're posting. I like to, for example, post my feed post onto my story. It just means that a lot more people are going to see it. And like I said, hopefully more people will engage with that. And remember, when more people engage, Instagram sees it, they like it, they push it out to even more people. Just creates higher engagement. But also, don't overdo it on your stories, because everyone's had that experience where they click on and it looks like tiny little dots at the top of the screen because someone's posted 100 posts on their stories. Someone's going to swipe out instantly. Social media is all about a balance of how much do you post, where it doesn't deter people, but it also keeps people engaged and it gives people enough information. But stories are powerful. Use them. They're also great to do reminders. Let's say you've done a post and it's been 2 weeks since you posted it. Just take that post that's 2 weeks ago, repost it to your story. Do a little reminder, because people are going to be scrolling through stories all the time. They'll see it in your stories, so make use of them. Okay, number 7. Photos and videos have higher engagement than designed posts. Now, as a graphic designer, this breaks my heart a little bit because I pour my heart and soul into every design I make, but
photos and videos are always going to be engaged with more. And now, this might be like a silly thing to consider, but it is actually a tool that we can use in getting information across. And what I mean by this is, let's say you have an important announcement to your church. Consider doing that announcement in a video format, because people see someone, they like to relate to people. They'll see someone talking and they're like, oh, what is happening here? They'll click on, they'll engage for longer. But at the same time, we spoke about that balance. You need to also couple that with designed information. Because if I am a viewer and I'm like trying to think, oh, when was that event again? I forgot the date. I don't want to go onto your Instagram page, try find the right video that had that correct information in. I want to go onto your Instagram page, be like, oh, there's the event right there. Okay, it's on the 15th of May. Amazing. You want to do it hand in hand always. But just consider the fact that photos and videos have higher engagement. Post photos about what's happening in your church, post videos about what's happening in your church. People will engage more, and it means that that stuff's going to get pushed out further, right? Higher engagement, higher reach. The lingo of the online world, unfortunately. Okay, number 8. Repetition is your friend when trying to get information across. People have a very short attention span, especially on social media. So when we are trying to get information across, we need to repeat ourselves. But once again, the balance. You cannot overdo it. When people feel like they are being bombarded with information, they're going to get frustrated. They're going to click away very, very fast. So, like I said, a great way to do this is you do your post about your event that you want to tell people about, and then you share it to your story a week later. Just a little reminder, like, oh yes, I remember about that. Cool. They click on, they register. You want to remind people in subtle ways, but still make sure that you're getting information across. Another thing you can do, and this is what we do in our church, is when we want people to sign up for an event, we also send it out on WhatsApp to our home group leaders and ask them to send it to our home groups. When you remember that WhatsApp is also a channel of communication, it's also social media. So just consider using it as well. If you have a group with your leaders, send it to your leaders. When it's getting closer to the time of the event or whatever you're trying to get out there, use WhatsApp as well. But remember, repetition is your friend, but don't overdo it. People will get annoyed very fast. It's just who we are. Okay, number 9. Keep an eye on what posts do well and what posts don't. As you're going through this journey of social media, you'll start to sort of learn what content does well with your audience. The thing about our different churches is it's going to be filled with different people, and different people relate and connect to different things, right? And so for me, I've learned what FCCers like to see, what the audience likes to engage with, but you need to figure that out for yourself. And I know it sounds like a lot of work, but I promise you it's not. Just see what videos are getting viewed more, what posts are getting liked more. And this is why I know photos and videos do well, because on all of the Instagrams that I'm involved with, every single time I post a video or a photo, it gets so many more likes, so many more comments, so many more views than when I post a still design. Then that'll get very few likes. They need it sometimes, but it's just good to see, okay, what is doing well, what sort of isn't doing as well, and just use that as a tool in your back pocket to see, okay, if I'm wanting to get information out, let me remember what did well. Okay, let me use that to get that information out there. So remember, once again, higher engagement, higher reach. And then number 10, quality over quantity. And just basically rather post something that is intentional, that is well considered, and that is authentic over posting just for the sake of posting. Because remember, like I said earlier, people relate to something that feels intentional. If you're just posting just because you're like, oh, okay, let me just check this off my list for the day, people are going to they're going to see that. They're going to see that intention and authenticity was important to this post. And I know it sounds silly, but I promise you, they'll know it. Do quality over quantity, something that is worthwhile over posting just for the sake of posting. So those are my sort of social media considerations that I keep in the back of the mind. And yeah, like I said, I know it sounds like a lot, and it probably is a lot to hear all at one go. But as you go through it and you figure it out, you'll just start to figure out what works for you. What do you consider? What is your mental notebook and checklist? It'll become like second nature, I promise you. Anyways, so after all of these things have been set up and considered, now it's time to actually post. And it should be really, really fun. The beauty about social media is that to an extent in church, it's actually more personal than it is professional, right?
in church, we're actually posting to community. It's like family. Like I said, it's like our family group chat. We're getting to share, okay, what is happening in our ranks? What is happening with the people that we're doing life with? It's so beautiful, actually, and this is a place that we should have fun with, and we must adapt with, and we must learn about, and we must, sort of do a bit of trial and error and just have fun with it. It really is a fun place when you let it be. Don't let it be a stress. Don't let it be this corporate thing that you now have to reach a certain amount of views or a certain amount of likes. Have fun with it. Be authentic. Let it be a fun process. And now, I wish I could give you a list right now of like every single thing that you should be posting, but reality is I can't, because it's going to be different for every church. Certain churches will post event notices, certain churches won't, certain churches will post certain photos, other churches won't. People have separate social medias for their kids' church and their normal church, other people won't. You need to figure out what works for you. You need to kind of have your mental list of what you're going to be posting. But to keep it super, super simple, your posting will fall into one of two categories, and those two are informational, and documentary. So to keep it super, super simple, informational posts will be things like event information, service information, where to find certain things on your website, where to find certain things in your church, where to find your church, anything that you just need your people to know, and anything you might want people to find out about you. So if anyone new looks on your page, anything that you want them to know, add a snapshot, that's your informational posting. Then your documentary posts, those are the really fun ones. Those are the ones of like showcasing your Sundays, showing your people, showing your events, sharing things that other people could reshare to their stories or reshare to their pages. You can share preach snippets, like little videos. You can, if you aren't recording your preachers, you can share notes on your preachers, what were the main points from preachers. You can share ongoing life within your community. You can share your heart and your mission, right? Use social media as your ministry. Share your heart, share your mission. This is all documentary. And both of these categories are so, so important. They go hand in hand, and when you find the right balance between the two, this will ensure that people stay engaged and people stay up to date on what is going on in the life of your church. And now, sort of the real nitty-gritty of if you want to know how to create some beautiful content that is eye-catching and effective, well, that's truthfully, I don't have enough time to get into all the details about that, and like I said before, it's subjective to everyone. You'll figure out what works for you, what works for your people. But I also know that sitting here today, everyone has different skill sets. I know that a lot of you might not have a bunch of creatives on your team who can make content for you, and that's perfectly okay. But what's so amazing about this digital world we live in is there are so many resources that we can use to help us in this journey. So some of these resources I wanted to list is, there is Canva. So Photoshop is amazing. If you have Photoshop, you know how to use Photoshop, that's great. If you don't, look into Canva. This is just a graphic design platform online. I think you can have a free version and you can have a full version. And this is just a really easy place to just do quick informational designs, get information out there. You can do honestly a lot with it, and it's really user-friendly. And if you're confused on Canva, hop onto YouTube, Google, how do I design this thing on Canva? You can get help there. What's also really amazing about Canva is those specs that we spoke of earlier. It has presets in there already. So you'll say new design and it'll say Instagram grid design or Instagram story. You literally click that, your specs are done already. It's a really powerful tool, so use it. It's really simple. Then another thing you can do is just look for inspiration constantly. There are so many amazing online resources where you're going to get a lot of inspiration. You're going to get a lot of free graphics. You can buy templates to use. You can get free images. So one of them is Sunday Social TV, which is a website on here. Yeah, you can get inspiration, free images, design templates. You do have to buy some of the content, but a lot of the content you can literally just look at and be like, oh, that's cool, that's like a really good idea. I can kind of change this a bit and use it for what we're doing in our church. Also, just something to note though, if you do buy design templates, oftentimes you have to use them on Photoshop, so just keep them in mind. But a great place just to draw inspiration. These are literally church creatives doing work for their churches. Go and see what they're up to. Another one is Story Loop. Once again, just inspiration, graphics, design templates. They have videos, have a lot of resources. This is just another website, so go look at that. Another one is Pro Church Designs with Brady Shearer. He has really amazing information and tools and tips and tricks and resources about how to go about communication in church in a digital world. He has so many videos on YouTube. His website is full of things, just really good tips and tricks that there's so much we could go into about it. So just go have a look at what he's sharing, because it's just going to give you a little bit more of a grasp on, okay, how do I go about all of this? And then number 5, this is just one that I like to look at, is Church Circle Creatives on Instagram. It's just an Instagram page where they share what people are designing in their churches. So as I said, I'm a designer. I always like to draw inspiration. But you can go there and see, okay, how is someone going about posting about Easter, for example? And right now, all the content that's on, honestly, I think all of these websites and pages was all about Easter. It's really updated content, so just go have a look. Also, the more you look into this stuff, the more you'll find. Like on Instagram, if you go onto Church Circle Creatives, you can, underneath it, you'll see a list of other pages that are so similar. Like you'll go into a deep dive, and after 2 hours, you're like, oh, okay, let me come up for breath, because you've been looking at inspiration for so long. Another place is just Pinterest. It's a classic. Go see what other people are doing. What photos are they posting? What styles are they doing? Or also just go look at other churches. What are they doing? You know, how are other people going about doing this? Because if we're all on the same mission, it's not copying, right? That's right? No? It's all for the same mission, right? No, but it's inspiration. It's good. But yeah, I think use your available resources, but also just keep it simple. Don't overdo it. Don't try and make these like major productions or crazy designs. Just be intentional, be authentic, show people the heart of who you are. Get information out in a very clear way. That's honestly, most people just want to know, okay, what is the information I want to know? And they want to see what's happening in your church. They want to see your heart. They want to see the mission at hand, right? People love authenticity. Just a couple things to keep in mind. Yeah, like I said, when getting information out, don't overcrowd designs. If you're doing a design, just like, honestly, have a white screen that says Easter Sunday and your meeting times. People want to be able to see your information easily. Keep it simple. You don't have to overcomplicate it. When sharing photos, if you're using a phone, that's amazing. Do you know how much you can do with a phone? I promise you, you don't need to go and spend all of your savings on a camera. If you have a camera, incredible. But if you have a phone, that's amazing too. Just focus on quality over quantity. Just try capture what is happening in just every Sunday, not every Sunday, but just what is happening in the life of your church. Keep people updated, but focus on getting one really authentic, beautiful moment rather than getting 20 photos that are all like blurry and not really showing much at all. When sharing reels or videos, keep them short and get the point across quickly. You don't want someone to sit there listening to a 10-minute video and at the end is only when you tell them, oh, by the way, this event is happening on this date. No, keep them short, keep them punchy. People want to have their attention kept for, 30 seconds before they move on, even less, I think. So, yeah, just keep them simple. You don't have to have like crazy software. You can edit on Instagram, you can edit on TikTok. There's also an app called CapCut. You can literally do editing on your phone. Your phone is so powerful. You can really do a lot with your phone. So if it's just you and you're figuring all of this content and social media out by yourselves, that's amazing. You can do it. You really don't have to overcomplicate it. The online world has made it easy for us. But then what I'd say is, as soon as you can, also bring other people in to help. Like I said earlier, social media is such a beautiful place where you can get other people to serve. Our social media, I can tell you now, is definitely not just me. It is 100% a page of collaboration. If it was just me, it would be terrible, I promise you that. And yes, I'm the one like steering the ship, but there are so many other people on board helping. And as soon as those people are in your ranks, find them, see who has the heart for it, make sure that they have the same heart for it. That is so important. But then bring them in, let them explore, let them discover, let them also teach you things. Something about social media is never think that you know it all. I know that I don't know it all. I know that I definitely don't get anything perfect. But it's all about constantly learning, exploring. Let other people teach you. Let other people come to you with ideas. It's all about brainstorming, being creative, right? And as soon as you see someone with like a little spark of, oh, there's something there, so there's some interest there, open the door, see if they want to come in and serve, because I promise you, people love to do it.
This is another place in which we can serve the Lord and serve the kingdom. So let's not bottleneck it. Let's not try keep it to ourselves. But until you have those people, just do the exploring yourself. Google and learn. Like I said, there's so much out there that we can learn and figure out. But just Google anything that you might be confused about. The more you search, the more you'll find. And once you have these foundational things that we spoke about set in stone, from there, it's easy. You've set it up, and now you can just go and figure it out and explore. And like I said, be authentic. Just be intentional. Share the heart of God. Share the mission that you're on, and be a light in social media. And I promise you, the Lord will do the rest. He does it, and it's amazing to see. So yeah, that is that. I think, yeah.
Awesome. Well done, Ella. Does anyone have any questions? I think this can sometimes be a super daunting, daunting area of ministry, especially if you're unfamiliar with it. So does anyone have any questions for Ella around church media or around social media? Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. Let's hit it here first.
Thank you for your presentation. My question is, what role do you think paying for ads for church social media posts, especially the one that you said are doing really well? Thank you.
Awesome.
Okay, so yeah, paid media and promoting posts, that's like one of the things that, it's a crazy whole thing that you could go into. What I'd say about it is do a lot of research before you go into it. A lot of times people will spend money on pushing out a post, and because they don't actually understand the nuances and actually how to go about doing it, it falls flat. It really doesn't do much. It can be so ineffective if you don't actually know how to go about using it. But if it is something you want to consider using, I would just say start by figuring out, do a lot of research online about, okay, what is the best way to go about doing this? There's platforms in which you can actually do testing. So what it does, it'll push out posts to different people and see which gets better engagement. And then from there, you can learn, okay, where do I push these posts out to? But once you have all of that information in your back pocket, you've done the research, you have a bit of a leg to stand on with it, then consider pushing out those posts to reach more people, because sometimes it really can be so effective. But don't go into it if you don't know how to do it, because it's one of the areas where you're going to pour money into it and it's going to fall flat. So do your research, and then once you know and you know where to push it and how to go about doing it, then it can be effective.
Ella, I do believe that Four Ways Church is sponsoring a new design of a website for church planters. Can you confirm that, please?
That one you'll have to talk to Tony Silverrat for, eh? not me.
How do you filter people coming in, and obviously you posting whatever you want to post online? How do you filter their permissions? So because it's a corporate setting, do you put signs up? And also, how do you, so that's the first question. And the second question is, how do you separate a disconnect, which looks like some websites look really nice. I don't know if they've got some green room, and then you walk in there and you're like, bro, this is not what I saw in the photos. How do you make it more authentic so that what you're seeing is balanced or feels like what you're entering? I don't know if that makes sense. So you don't have this big fat show online, and then when you walk in there, it's not the same.
Okay, so to your first question, just in terms of permissions and posting people online. So first thing I'll say is, if ever we are posting anything to do with kids and it's showing their faces, we make sure we get written consent from every single parent. It can be a bit of legwork. We've literally had Sundays where we're running around trying to find parents, but especially if it's anyone under the age of 18, you need to make sure that you have written consent, especially for children. So first and foremost. In terms of other people, you fall into a bit of a gray zone there. Something that we go about doing is, if ever I'm posting images online, I make sure that it's people that I actually know, that have been in our church for a few years. I'm not going to go on a Sunday, take a photo of someone who I've never seen in my entire life before and post it, because they could just be a visitor. Yeah, it's just about like knowing who your people are and sort of posting. You don't just want to post the same 5 people over and over again, but you'll know when people are in your ranks, and then you're posting content with them in it, and you sort of know that, okay, they're okay with it. Obviously, you'll get people in the background, and that's where you fall into a bit of a gray zone. I don't know, there's a bit of, in my mind, grace there. But once again, you kind of also have to figure out for yourselves how that works, and if you want to go about it in a more professional way, if you want to put up signs, go for it, by all means. We have been fine so far. Maybe that's bad. Anyways, and then in terms of authenticity, sort of seeing what you're seeing online and then walking through your doors, I think there's a level of just, in photos especially, show who you are, show the place where you meet. You'll see that on our website, across our whole website. It's no stock images. The photos that you see are from our church. It is our people. And even if you have this like super professional online presence, it's still your building that you're seeing, your people. So that'll immediately create the connect between the two. And even if, yes, the building is like temporary, or I don't know, like you feel like there's a bit of a disconnect, there's not going to be a disconnect, because you walk in, you're like, oh yes, this is the building that I saw online. Images are your best way to connect it, because people are visual learners. They want to see what they're going to be walking into. So just get photos of your building. Yeah, even if you're using your phone, if you can get someone in to take photos, like, it just makes it that much more professional, but photos will connect.
Any other questions?
Sorry, just asking, so what don't you post? Because obviously it's the life of the church. So if you have like a couple that's been married, or you've appointed new deacons, or there's elders that come on, do you post that, or do you just post events and stuff like that?
What don't I post? Honestly, I wish I could give you a list of, okay, this is everything I exclude and this is everything I include. A lot of it is literally just figuring out as we go. I'll just post anything that is happening in the life of our church, but for the majority of the congregation. So let's say someone in our leadership just gets married. I'm not going to post about that, because that's their personal life, right? But if it's, like you're saying, elders getting ordained, that's something happening in the life of our church. So we post about that. But it's also about, you kind of just figure it out. There'll be certain events where last minute I'm like, oh, do you know what? Actually, it would be cool to have a post about this. Then I call up someone like, listen, can you film a reel for this last minute? It's about, okay, am I going to be sharing something on social media that is showing the life of our church and showing the mission and the heart that we are trying to share? Then, okay, it's worth posting. Anything that gets a little bit so personal that I'm like, okay, not really anyone is going to care about this, or maybe like the 10 people that know these people, then maybe exclude it. But it's also just figuring it out as you go.
Any other questions? What Ella said is so awesome, is that we've got these awesome resources. Just maybe something to add on to that. Canva, which is a content creation tool, also gives free pro accounts to non-profits. So when you register your church and you have that documentation, you can send them an email and they can give you a pro account for free. So as a local church, we've done that, and so that's been a massive help. But something else is that NCMI have a Media Connect WhatsApp group where guys ask all sorts of questions. Hey, my SDI cable's not working, or you're like, I don't even know what that is. But there's people on those groups that know what that is. They know what the issues are with cables, or know what the issues are with social media. There's a media group that we've got where lots of people from different churches will have the expertise. Even something like this, there's a guy here, his name is Tim. He's on the camera at the back there, whose heart is for local church, but to have expertise in a professional field. There's people who are in local churches in partnership that you can always bounce these questions off of regarding social media or church media in general, production media, etc., etc., etc.